help you with anything?
No, could you identify yourself first, please?
Yeah, I'm a police officer. I've got my warrant card with me. How is it I can help you today?
I didn't ask for any help. And your collar number, please.
It's my shoulder number.
Shoulder.
It's 1968 November Echo.
Thank you very much.
What is it you're doing today?
I'm filming.
Pardon?
I'm filming.
Any reason what for?
Yep, just to see how well that the police actually interact with local people.
Alright. Are you from around here? Are you from this area?
There's no point in fishing to whether or not I'm from round here or not.
I was just asking.
It should make no difference whether or not I was or I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just asking.
It's just something that should happen.
No worries. Obviously, you're filming a police station. There's no need for you to film a police station.
Okay.
I'm gonna search you.
Hang on. Well, first of all, let's just actually clarify this.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to use section 43, okay, don't just quote me a number. Quote me the specific part of section 43 before you even attempt to do anything.
She starts by asking, "What are you doing?" But the moment his reply doesn't meet her expectations, the situation quickly shifts from a simple conversation to a more serious tone, with her putting on gloves. That sudden change says a lot. Saying there's no need to film at a police station isn't based on law. It's just a personal opinion. Whether someone feels it's necessary or not doesn't decide if it's allowed. Filming in a public place is a lawful activity, and it doesn't require permission or a reason that an officer agrees with. People are free to record as long as they're within the law. Instead of clearly explaining her legal grounds, naming the specific power she's using, or outlining any suspicion, she moves straight to carrying out a search. Plot is left trying to work out what law is being used, assuming it might be section 43. That alone shows the proper steps weren't followed from the start. A counterterrorism power can't be based on a personal view like "I don't see the need for this." It must be backed by clear, specific, and explainable suspicion, which should always be communicated properly.
Okay, because under section 43, I have the legal right to actually film a police station. I'm breaking no laws. Okay, a detective sergeant has only just been out here. Okay, so think very carefully before you even attempt to use section 43. Because if you go to use section 43, okay, I will sue you.
Sue me for what?
Okay, for an unlawful detainment. Okay.
Why is it unlawful?
Because it is perfectly lawful, exactly what I'm doing, filming the police station. You've asked me what I'm doing. I've given you a reason. Okay.
You just
now it states that, yeah.
Station.
And if you look under the section 43, okay, it is perfectly lawful for me to film a police station. Okay, and section 43 cannot be used in the line of filming. I'm here to audit the actual police station, and if you care to actually look, because you're a public service, okay, and I'm a member of the public, okay, and I'm entitled to do exactly what I'm doing. Well, what gives you the right to abuse my rights?
How am I abusing your rights?
Because you're going to try and use the Terrorism Act,
I haven't
okay?
even done anything yet.
Well, you said you're going to search me.
Okay.
Plod ends up explaining section 43 to her, making it clear that it's a counterterrorism power based on genuine suspicion, not something that can be used just because someone doesn't like being filmed. He calmly points out that recording a police station from a public place is not against the law. He even mentions that a sergeant had previously confirmed this, reinforcing that he's within his rights. At that point, it would have made sense to pause and rethink the situation. Instead, when he says he may take legal action for unlawful arrest, she asks why it would even be considered unlawful. That response stands out more than anything else said. If someone is using a serious legal power but can't clearly explain what makes their actions lawful, that raises serious concerns. It shows a lack of clarity at a critical moment. The issue here isn't that Plod is trying to outsmart anyone. It's that she seems to be acting on assumptions rather than a clear understanding of the law. When someone doesn't fully recognize the limits of the authority they're using, situations like this can quickly go in the wrong direction.
But I haven't done anything yet, have I?
That's only because I'm challenging you.
No, I'm asking you a question and you can't give me an answer.
I don't need to justify what I'm doing, okay? I've told you why I'm here, okay? And that's why I told you, think very carefully before your next step, okay? And if you need to call an inspector or a sergeant out, then I suggest you do so,
Who is it
okay?
you just spoke to?
A detective sergeant that was just out here.
Did not say who it was.
Okay? Well, just call through to your control room. They sent him out.
No one's No one called.
He's only come out, literally, he only just left me just as I walked this way.
Okay.
So that's why I said, think very carefully with what you're about to do.
What did he say?
He knows I'm perfectly well within my lawful rights to do what I'm doing. So that's why I said, think very carefully.
I don't think very carefully.
No, you do. You can't just use the section 43, okay, and abuse that power. That's why section 44 got removed, because of officers like you that tried to abuse.
Like me?
Yeah,
You've never met me
you've
before.
gone to use.
Officers like me.
Yeah, that's why
Officers like
the
me.
first thing you
Mate,
actually went to
there's
do
no
was
need
take
to
your
be
gloves
silly.
out and
There's no
actually
need
try
to
and
be
abuse
silly.
my rights.
I'm not abusing your
Yeah, you
rights.
did, by trying
not
to say you're going to
abusing your
search me. What gives you the right to think that you can do that?
But how am I abusing your rights?
Okay?
When she says she hasn't done anything, it doesn't come across as confidence. It feels more like stepping back from the situation. The only reason things didn't move further is because Auditor Plaud challenged her and made her clearly explain what legal power she was relying on. Without that push, the situation might have escalated. His calm approach forced a pause and brought attention back to the actual legal basis. Then the reasoning shifts again. Now the issue becomes that he isn't answering her questions. But choosing not to engage in casual conversation isn't a valid reason for a search. People are not required to respond to every question, especially when they're doing something lawful. That alone doesn't create suspicion. You can't turn someone's silence into a reason to act against them. Auditor Plaud isn't required to explain himself just to satisfy curiosity. Staying quiet isn't proof of wrongdoing, and not cooperating doesn't make someone guilty. If a counterterrorism search is triggered simply because someone didn't want to talk, then the standard drops from real suspicion to personal frustration. And that's exactly the issue he brings to light.
Even suggest that. You're absolutely a disgrace, you are.
I'm a disgrace.
Yes, you are.
It's a bit extreme.
No, you're a disgrace to
Why
even
am I a
suggest
disgrace?
that. Okay?
Why am I a disgrace?
For somebody doing something lawful, you think that you can search him.
I'm asking you why you've come down
You think
here.
you... It makes no difference. I don't even have to answer you. When you put your camera on, you are meant to inform a member of the public.
It isn't.
Yes, you are. It's in your code of ethics. Okay? So, and you need to look under section 3.5.5. Okay? And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be doing the job. Okay? And as I said, then I will take out a case against you.
No worries, no problem.
I've just spoke to someone who spoke to you. I don't think it's DS from the sounds of it, but I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I think what he said, did you say to him about obviously you weren't happy about the lack of police officers or something like that, was it?
Yeah, it's called an audit.
Yeah, fair enough. Long and short of it, like you said, he's obviously said you can record. The more people we see you and see it, obviously with everything going on, terrorism is obviously very high, you can be searched under it. Obviously it's our powers to use.
Auditor Plaud even points out that she's recording him without mentioning it at all. That's a basic level of transparency that should never be skipped. The Code of Ethics clearly requires openness and clear communication during interactions, yet he's the one reminding her of that duty. In that moment, the roles almost feel reversed, with him highlighting standards she should already be following. When the person being questioned understands the rules better than the officer applying them, it reveals a deeper problem than just this one encounter. It suggests a gap in awareness that can affect how authority is used. This isn't just about one stop. It raises questions about consistency and understanding of proper procedure. Then additional officers arrive and fall back on a familiar line. Terrorism is very high at the moment. It's often used as a broad justification, but a higher threat level doesn't remove the need to follow the law properly. Just because a power exists doesn't mean it can be used at any time without meeting the required conditions. Saying we have the power is not the same as proving it's justified in that situation.
You're going to say the legislation's not great, it's not, or we shouldn't be using it, whatever.
Well, no, it'd be an unlawful detainment is what it will be.
What we would say though is, obviously with what's happening in the world and obviously terrorism acts and stuff like that, we would probably, if we wanted, we can search under it, we'd think there's enough. I think what the guy upstairs said to you is, obviously you can film, obviously the longer you stay here, the more people are probably going to stop you and think this looks a bit suspicious. Is that kind of what he said to you?
Okay, just remember, suspicion number one isn't a crime.
No, I
okay?
didn't say it was. I just said, is that what he said to you? That if you hang around here, it's going to...
No, he didn't tell me that if I hang around here.
So what obviously what I'm saying is obviously if loads of police officers keep seeing someone film a police building, they would probably search you under the Terrorism Act because they would see it as suspicious that you've been spoken to now by 2 officers and they've said to you, like, obviously you can film, but if you carried on to staying here like all day, they're going to go, Why is he still here filming?
And even if I did, there is still nothing wrong with that.
But you probably get searched, and then if you wanted to put a complaint in or whatever, then that would be down to you. But officers would probably, the next person who stops you will probably search you.
He keeps referring to what's happening around the world, as if that alone is enough to justify taking action. But general global concerns don't automatically make a person with a camera suspicious. Being present and recording in a public place doesn't suddenly become a valid reason for a search just because of wider events. There still has to be something specific and clear to support that decision. Then the focus shifts to how long Auditor Plod has been standing there, as if simply staying in one spot makes the situation more questionable. But that reasoning doesn't stand up. Time on its own doesn't turn lawful behavior into something unlawful. People are free to remain in a public place for as long as they choose, as long as they're not breaking any rules. Auditor Plod rightly points out that suspicion by itself isn't a crime. Just repeating the word suspicion doesn't make it valid. Without clear and specific facts to support it, the argument doesn't get stronger. It simply shows a lack of proper grounds.
And just be aware, whoever you spoke to, they haven't informed anyone else that you're here. Or
That's not my fault though.
No, I'm not saying that.
But as I did tell you, it literally only just left me.
Yeah, but
I walked from here to there.
But I don't know that.
And that was when you came out, okay? But maybe what you should do is, instead of actually going to try and go straight in for and saying about search, okay? Maybe the actual facts should actually be put forward first. You can't go off of what you don't know, but what you do know.
Yeah. And
okay, and that is the difference.
Standing up here,
yes.
filming a police building.
Yes, and what's wrong with that? There is no law and no crime that I've committed.
But to us, it's suspicious. You standing
yeah, but
up here
just remember,
filming.
suspicion is not a crime. And if you actually go by what the actual memo was that got sent out to all police stations, okay, to do with auditors, and I told you that that's what I was doing, okay, that we are to be left alone, okay, and to be able to actually film, okay, and it is on the actual actual website itself to say that any member of the public has the right to film a police station, police staff, police vehicles, and so on, okay, and not have section 43 used, and that is on your own website.
Okay, but we can use that to search.
And it will be unlawful.
It's not unlawful.
Yes, it is unlawful.
No, it's not unlawful.
Yes, it is unlawful.
Saying, "I didn't know" isn't a defense. It's an admission of a gap in understanding. Just not knowing that another officer had already spoken to Plod doesn't suddenly create a reason to act. In fact, it shows a failure to check the facts before moving to escalation. Auditor Plod cuts right to the core point. You must act based on what you know, not on what you haven't bothered to find out. He then brings up the official memo circulated to officers about auditor guidance, which clearly states that filming police buildings from public spaces is legal and shouldn't automatically trigger suspicion. This guidance has been widely discussed and even referenced in official channels. Yet, she seems unaware of it. That's the troubling part. Officers are making decisions based on assumptions while being unfamiliar with the very rules meant to prevent overreach. It highlights how quickly situations can escalate when knowledge and procedure aren't properly applied.
Just because you suspect, that is not reasonable grounds for that search.
The next officer might actually just turn around and say, like, you've been spoken to twice, you're getting searched. Fair enough? I know you might disagree with it, but that's probably what will probably happen.
Yeah, but then I will wait and see when I engage with the next officer. Okay, so there is her walk of shame, where she really thought that she was going to use section 43 on me, but she got absolutely nothing at all.
What really stands out at the end isn't the use of authority. It's the suggestion of what might happen. She implies that if another officer sees him, he'll be searched. That's not a lawful order. It's a warning disguised as certainty. Being addressed twice doesn't create ongoing suspicion that follows someone indefinitely. Auditor Plod responds simply. If that happens, he'll deal with it then. That matters because it refuses to give in to the subtle pressure being applied. There's also something revealing about how the implied threat is framed. It's not linked to any new behavior or fresh intelligence. It's tied solely to visibility. The message seems to be, keep doing your lawful activity long enough, and enforcement will eventually catch up. But that's not how legal thresholds are meant to work. If proper grounds don't exist now, they don't magically appear just because someone stays put. Using the suggestion of future escalation to push someone away exposes the real intent. And that's where the episode ends, that in no search, no arrest, no clear explanation of an offense. The officers leave after trying to leverage suspicion, time spent, global events, and hypothetical future stops. Looking at it plainly, it's not dramatic, it's instructive. It demonstrates how pressure can be applied without turning into real enforcement. When legal powers aren't properly grounded, the fallback becomes implication. And when that falls apart as soon as someone calmly asks for the legal basis, it proves the power was bluff, not law. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to keep accountability in the spotlight. I'm the Audit Assessor, and this was episode 15. See you next time.